Out of nowhere, dungeons and gates to other worlds appear everywhere on Earth. In these dungeons lay fearsome monsters and extravagant treasures. People looking for new opportunities and dreams started delving in the dungeons. Traversing through dungeons was harsh, however a single adventurer sped through them at an abnormal pace. He was fighting with a behemoth, a dragon. He thought that no wonder those elites from America were in over their heads. There was only one behemoth this time. Behemoth then says that he will be able to destroy the gate, and once he does that, he will be released from the suffocating place that he was in. He thinks that he will turn the world into the sea of fire. An archmage then tells himself to stop monologuing and he will quickly put him out. Behemoth tells him that he was delusional. Seeing the mage power up, he thinks that he might be able to enjoy this, and he will make sure not to even leave the ashes behind. The dragon comes to the mage at full force. The mage uses his magic. It is the behemoth, and he goes crashing into the rocks. Falling, the behemoth tells not to look down on him, and black orbs start flying around the mage. Behemoth was trying to restrict his move. Behemoth then spewed huge amount of fire, stating that it was over. But his fire attack gets cut off. Behemoth says that it was impossible. The mage then starts gathering mana. Behemoth was calling him impudent. They then both attack each other with full force. Behemoth states that it was preposterous. He was a god and yet he was beaten by a single measly human. Behemoth falls as the mage looks down on him. The adventurer who went from being incompetent to standing at the peak of the world. Seki Iori. This is the story of the reincarnation of the forbidden archmage. 20 years ago, gates to another world known as dungeons appeared. Simultaneously, some had awakened to powers called skills. Only 1% of the entire population had skills. After such events, it did not take time before an organization was established for those who wished to challenge the dungeons. It is now known as the Adventurers Guild. And now in the present time, Tokyo, a boy was evaluating his skills. The stats showed that the boy Seki Iori had no skills. The skills were necessary for challenging the harsh dungeons. There is no one crazy enough to become an adventurer without having any skills. The receptionist asks if he was sure about being an adventurer. Seki Iori says that it was fine and tells her to register him. Seems that Iori was just that crazy. Seki Iori hears the girl asking another person if she was sure that she wanted to be adventurer without any skills. Seki Iori had never thought that there'd be someone as crazy as him. Another man comes around and says that being an adventurer without any skill was practically a suicide and offers to show them around. The reception then leaves both of them to the man. His name was Fukumoto. Adventurers were organized into ranks ranging from F to S. The so-called the middle, or rather the C rank, had many veterans. Fukumoto then states that he is in C rank and offers to show them the ropes. The girl walks very happily, asking Seki Iori what he wanted to become an adventurer. Seki Iori explains the adventurer make a lot of money and he also wanted to chase his dreams despite having no skills. When you defeat dungeon monsters, they drop magic stones and items. Magic stones are quite valuable, and even the lowest ranked stones go for 10,000 yen apiece. And Seki Iori has a reason to earn a lot of money no matter what. Seki Iori lives with his 15-year-old younger sister. Their parents had disappeared, and he had been the one providing for her tuition fee. They were poor but were very happy. But he went home one day, he called out for his sitter. His sister was on the ground. He quickly took her to the hospital, and the doctor said that her sister had awoken a skill that was eating on her own body. It was a disease known as incompatible skill syndrome. It was quite rare, and this was the first case in Japan. The only cure is the newest treatment created in the US, but the medical fees there were insanely expensive. The doctor said that the treatment could probably cost around 500 million yen. But he does not tell this story to her new friend. Thinking that Seki Iori wanted money, the girl thinks that he was really longing for stuff. Seki Iori just laughs and agrees with her. They then reach a hall. Fukumoto then introduces Seki Iori and the girl to the others as newbies that they were talking about. Many people looked down on the people who did not awaken any skills, calling them incompetent. That was how important having skill was. One of the guild members comes forward and greets them as incompetent. He then states that they could learn a lot of things through watching the seniors at work, observing how they moved their bodies. The girl shakes his hand and tells him that it was nice to meet him. All of them plan on going into the dungeon right away. The seniors say that they will explain the details on the way. The girl hurries up, asking the others to wait. Seki Iori thinks that he would have preferred that they explain it beforehand, but he then goes towards the dungeon. Incompetent, huh? The status that they were all looking at showed that Seki Iori had no skills. It was because the skill he had was a hidden skill. It was called Forbidden Restriction, and what it does was quite simple. It allows the user to use their previous life's magic in exchange for the skill points. Magic obtained this way can be used without consuming MP. Seki Iori thinks that he would level up, gain skill points, and use those skill points to obtain the magic that he used in his previous life. In other words, he was a reincarnation. In his previous life he excelled at magic in his previous life and was called Solitary Archmage. However, he never felt the happiness that he had in this life when he practiced magic. In front of her sister Kotoha, everything that he had obtained in his previous life all put together did not hold a candle to her. 500 million yen. It was normally an amount that you could not earn in a lifetime, even if one works him or herself to the death. That is why he became an adventurer, to make a ton of money in as little time as possible. But earning 500 million yen that quickly might be difficult for even an S-rank adventurer, but it was not impossible with the Forbidden Restriction. He vows to earn the money needed for the treatment. So, he wishes that his sister hangs until then. Inside the mage, the adventurers are fighting with the monsters using the different skills that they had. The first fight for them was pretty easy, as it was just an E-rank dungeon. The man boasts and tells the girl to watch them. The girl then looks to Seki Iori and asks why he looked kind of down. Seki Iori tells Amami not to worry about him, and that she should enjoy herself as she is. Just as Seki Iori had thought, the adventurers ahead were not planning on teaching them anything, and he guesses that it was better than threatening them. Amami was moved to see the fights and asks if she needed to look closely to learn. They then continue in the dungeon. An attack slips by and almost hits Seki Iori and Amami, but the pillar fell just in time and saved them. Fukumoto asks if they were alright. Amami tells that they were saved by the pillar in the nick of time. But it was Seki Iori that caused the pillar to fall just in time. Alright, then they had reached the dungeon boss. All of them then head inside the dungeon. A voice echoes stating that they had fulfilled the fifth condition of arriving at the boss chamber without taking any damage. The second condition of bringing 2 newcomers were also fulfilled. They were happy about that. Then the third condition echoes that stated to bring someone who had yet to awaken the skill, and that too was fulfilled. The 3 conditions had been fulfilled and the boss was spawning. The 3 adventurers were all scared by the boss and started running as fast as they could. But they see that their path of retreat had been cut off. Amami asked Seki Iori if the others could beat the monster. But one of the members get knocked out in a single swing of the boss of the dungeon. Seki Iori thinks that it was bad, and if they make such big attacks, when the difference in their strength was clear as day, they will definitely be hit by a counterattack. Seki Iori goes to try out a plan he had. The others were all scared of fighting the boss. While the monster was going to attack another member, Seki Iori comes in front and manages to block the attack. They push each other. The monster gets repelled back. Seki Iori then tells Fukumoto that he has a plan to defeat the monster and tells him to do exactly as he says. The all-powerful hidden skill Forbidden Restriction. There was a reason why it was called restricted. In exchange for being able to use magic without using MP, all the spells that he knew of from his previous life had been sealed off. Despite the magic circuit in his body being intact, he could not use any spells even after trying so many times. Once he frees himself from the restriction imposed, then he might be able to surpass even his previous self. Seki Iori says that he had a plan to defeat the monster. Seeing what Seki Iori Fukumoto had done just now, asks if Seki Iori is really an incompetent, and curses him for lying to them. Seki Iori states that he would talk about it later, and right now defeating the boss tool the priority. He then asks Fukumoto to buy him some time, even if it is just a little. Fukumoto eagerly agreed to do whatever he could. The others together tried to buy time in hopes of avenging their fallen friend. They then blocked the attack of the monster and attacked it with full force. They ask Seki Iori how much time he needs. He answers that he needed 3 minutes if they could. Seki Iori had fought monsters in his previous life, but 3 minutes could be a little more than what Fukumoto's team could handle. The monsters that he fought in his previous life were much stronger compared to the monsters that they were fighting that would be wiped out if they had to fight those monsters normally. Amami asks Seki Iori if he is alright. He tells her that he is fine, but he did have only one method of beating it. He then asks for Amami's help. Amami says that she could do nothing to help as she had no chance of even scratching the monster. Seki Iori then encourages her and tells her that he needed her help to take down the Minotaur. She thinks for a bit and tells her that she will help and asks what she should do. Seki Iori says that he did not have any time to explain, so he tells her to sit still for a moment. He then goes behind her, casts a spell and tells her not to be mad at him. He then puts his hand on her back. It looked like a sexual harassment, but it was his secret plan. Minotaur was weak to magical attacks, but Hasegawa could not fatally wound it with his magic. His skill was too low in rank, so he did not have the necessary power. The attack of Hasegawa and Fukumoto did nothing to the Minotaur. In order to defeat it, they needed to hit it with a powerful spell to defeat it. Currently, Seki Iori could not use any of his spells due to his forbidden restriction. That is why he is planning to use Amami's magic. It was quite easy for him to do. He just needed to manipulate Amami's magic circuit and then add necessary movements for her to cast the magic. Well, it probably was unethical though. Amami gets too flustered and tells Seki Iori to cut it out already. But after that she feels something inside her. Seki Iori asks her if she is feeling some kind of power welling inside her body. She answers yes and questions what Seki Iori did to her. Seki Iori says that he just made necessary arrangements for her to use magic. She says that she does not have any skills. Seki Iori tells it's fine as she had talent to use magic. Seki Iori says that he himself could not use magic due to certain reasons, so that is why he will be counting on Amami. Hasegawa and Fukumoto were trying their best to keep the Minotaur busy, but all of their attacks were of no use. They were getting beaten by the monster. Fukumoto was barely standing. He was calling out to the newbies to hurry up as they might get wiped out at that rate. Seki Iori and Amami were ready. Seki Iori tells Amami to calm down and repeat after him. It might not be a language familiar to her, so he tells her that it might be difficult, but he was going to make it short. He tells her to focus on her mana. Seki Iori was amazed to see that a girl with no fighting experience could show such concentration in this dire situation. It was really assuring. Fukumoto then could not hold Minotaur any longer. Seki Iori instructs Amami to hold both her hands toward Minotaur and then repeat Crimson Lotus Fireball. She repeats after him and a huge fire comes out of her hand. This attack was too powerful for a Minotaur, and he gets all charred. Amami finds this power amazing. Seki Iori tells her that it would not have been possible without her. Amami then looks at her Dropbox and sees that she obtained the Minotaur's axe. There was a crystal that appeared after defeating the monster. Seki Iori then leveled up and obtained the title Reincarnated Archmage, with the following specs.
Thank you for joining us in this recap journey. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Comment if you have suggestions, want more of the series. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Do subscribe if you want more similar content. This is aniversenexus, your passport to the immersive realms of anime and manga.